Hello, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of the last days. I am so excited to be back in my studio. We've been trying to do the show from, different places, and it's a little bit harder for me. So this is good. And when we were last on, our computer froze, and I was knocked out, and we had to just end the show, and that was it. And that just felt terrible. So I don't like any of that happening. And it's good to be back. We got JT in the hot seat, and we got Shane helping us on the side. And what a show we have. Dr. Byram Bridle coming up after Kcarl. This is a Canadian doctor that is telling the truth, shaming the devil, changing the world. And that's what we like to do on this show in general. So y'all know that since my dad passed away, I like to open up his Bible. And he was a man who loved the word. And he has underlined all kinds of cool things. So today it opens up to Ezekiel 28. And do you know what? This entire chapter, you want to know what the devil looks like? You want to understand the actual physical being of who Lucifer is? It's described in Ezekiel 28. So my dad has underlined a whole bunch of things. It talks about in verse 13, that he was in Eden, in the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. In sardius, topaz, and diamonds, beryl, onyx, jasper, and sapphire. These are the things that covers the literal physical being of the devil. Is it any wonder that he looks like he's some kind of cool dude? The word says that he'll even appear as an angel of light. Well, no wonder. He's got all those diamonds sparkling on him and those sapphires. He is literally made of these beautiful, beautiful things. The workmanship of thy tabrets and thy pipes were prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Now, the one thing about my dad's Bible is it's all Old English, so I got to give you the scoop on how it is. What this is saying is that there were pipes, and that when he was created, his literal being is an instrument. That's why he loves music. That's why he has seized the music of the day, is because the devil knows music like nobody's business. In fact, he was in charge of music in heaven. That's why he uses all this stuff, right? All of this sexualization of music, all of these rock stars, they sell their soul so that they can get a song written by Satan himself. It goes to number one. But what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? So this is what happens. He was in charge of music in heaven to honor and worship God until the day that he thought, I can be God. That was his big downfall. And that's how we got stuck with him here on earth, which is not cool, I have to say. So this is underlined very distinctly, a whole bunch of things in this chapter by my father. But in it's chapter 28 of Ezekiel, verse 17, your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. Let me put it in the English language you understand, instead of saying thine and thy and all of that. Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. Lucifer was so beautiful, he got proud. You were corrupted by your wisdom and by the reason of your brightness. Wow, he was so smart, so bright, and so beautiful that he was corrupted. And it says, I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings that they may behold thee. Oh, my word. What does that mean? He lays him before kings. Does that mean the leaders of all the countries? So that they will behold thee. I kind of wonder if our prime minister and the president of the United States of America is beholding him and operating under his auspices. Well, let's go to Gravitas. What is it? Project Veritas, not Gravitas. Project Veritas. Let's go look and see what they are finding out. This is so cool. Take a look.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID?
Well, that is not what we say to the public. No, don't tell anyone this. You probably shouldn't tell anyone. You probably shouldn't tell anyone. Okay? We're exploring, like, now, you know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is, like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we can create undoubtedly develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're going to do that, though, there's a risk of, like, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating viruses. It could be, like, very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something that, like, you know, it goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
Is the way that the virus started and moving on. To be honest, like, it makes no sense if this virus popped out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, I know.
Meet Jordan Tristan Walker, a director of research and development strategic operations and mRNA scientific planning at Pfizer.
It sounds like gain of function to me.
I don't know, it's a little bit different. I think it's different. It's like, it's definitely not gain of function.
It sounds like it is. I mean, it's okay.
No, directed evolution is very different. Well, you're not supposed to do gain of function research with the viruses, like, they recommend not. But you do, like, these, like, selected directional mutations to try to see if you can make more potent.
Yeah.
So there is research ongoing about that. I don't know how that's going to work. There better not be any more outbreaks, because, like, Jesus Christ.
The gentleman seems to have absolutely no moral compass at all.
It's a revolving door for all government officials. It's pretty good for the industry, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's bad for everyone else in America.
Why is it bad for everybody else?
Because if the regulators who have to approve our drugs know that once they stop being regulated, they want to come work for the company, they're not going to be as hard for the company. They were doing their job.
If this is the quality of individuals within Pfizer that are making these huge decisions that risk global public health, it's profoundly corrupt.
Wow. All right. I think he was going to say corrupt, profoundly corrupt. So what do you think about that? What did they call it? Directed evolution. It's not gain of function, it's directed evolution. Does that sound like something very evil? Directed by an evil entity? I sure think it does. One more clip before we are going to go to our beloved guest. Kcarl today is here. Let's have a look at Laura Ingraham on what Pfizer has in mind for our future.
The FDA has officially asked its panel of advisors to approve an annual COVID shot for healthy adults, similar to the influenza campaigns meant at combating the flu. Now, forget potential side effects, adverse reactions. A new study that reveals that any protection gained from booster shots wanes rapidly. But would an annual shot be any different? Joining me now, Dr. Marty Makary from Johns Hopkins. He's a professor there, author of The Price We Pay. Dr. Makary, what is going on with this shiftaroo at the FDA?
Well, there's an agenda from the White House, and it's coming right from Ashish Jha and Dr. Fauci that's saying we need an indefinite vaccination policy for life. That means a 12-year-old girl will get 60 mRNA vaccine doses in her average lifetime. And they're ignoring the 1 in 5,000 risk of myocarditis in young males. They're ignoring the 1 in 800 risk of severe adverse events. Now, these are well documented. These are from big studies. This is no longer an idea or a small anecdotal experience. And all this for a bivalent vaccine for which we don't know the efficacy. There's no randomized controlled trial. And the FDA advisors that you mentioned learned that Moderna was hiding data that the bivalent vaccine they developed actually had more infections in the vaccine arm of the trial than in the placebo arm. And they're pretty upset that they didn't see that data.
Absolutely fascinating. I think it's good that, all of this information is beginning to come out. And what we are seeing is that there is definitely substantial, good, solid testing, data, studies that have come out, not just in America, worldwide, showing that there's an awful lot that our governments, the FDA, our doctors should be paying attention to. So I won't say anything more about that. We are, after all, on YouTube today. I would like to welcome to the show a retired U.S. Army officer and former member of President Trump's Presidential Campaign Coalition Advisory Board. Kcarl is a nationally recognized author, speaker, and creator of the Facebook Douglas Republican Engagement Strategy. Frederick Douglass. A powerful and proven persuasive messaging approach developed through 12 years of real world success. Mr. Smith is the foremost expert on diversity engagement and has empowered thousands of grassroots conservatives, candidates, Republican Party precinct leaders, and county and state leaders with his proprietary, game-changing diversity outreach approach. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show, sir, today. I want to tell you about a personal experience I had, and that was with a young man named Franklin. And this last week, I was down in the United States of America, and I met him, sir. And of course, he began talking to me, you know, about how he was brought up and all of his beliefs. And then he says to me, like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to Candace Owens, and you know, Black Lives Matter is not what I thought it was. It's got a whole bunch of stuff mixed up in there. Do you think, sir, that there is a movement where we are beginning to see what's really the truth, and that is making a difference to the African American community?
Very, very much so. You know, the truth can't be denied forever. So as time goes along, you're going to hear people like Candace Owens, when they speak, people are going to start paying attention to it because they see before them what's going on. And if these people just become a little bit more critical minded and don't believe anything somebody tells them, to do some research, that you're going to see more of an awakening that's going to occur, not just in the Black community, but even people who've been indoctrinated into socialism or Marxism going to have an awakening once they're exposed to the truth. I can't hear you.
As you are watching America, what are you seeing is going on with this Biden administration? This is pretty shocking, the amount of people coming over the southern border completely unprotected. You don't know if there's sexual predators. I do understand they found numerous folks, you know, gentlemen with records and people that should not be allowed in our country, but they're all kind of trying to come in.
Well, I think what you see happening is that people are having buyer's remorse when it comes to Joe Biden and administration, because they're feeling the pinch and the misery, and they don't feel protected. You know, the first role of government is to protect us, and they're not protecting us, especially at the border. And so you see a lot of things that's taking place where people are looking for an alternative, and we just got to become better conservatives. We got to become better truth tellers and better messengers of liberty, so we can have this worldwide awakening, and where we can push forward the truth and do it in a way where it resonates with people. And that's what we have to do more of. But the truth is coming out. You're exactly right.
Yes, sir. With your experience that you had, what compelled you to work with Mr. Trump, and what do you see leading up to 2024? What are your hopes? What do you think will happen?
Well, the reason why I align myself with President Trump, because I will unite with anybody that wants to do right. That's my bottom line. I will not unite with anybody that wants to do wrong. And so he's fundamentally a decent individual. But the left has portrayed him in a way that he's not, in order to minimize the impact and the effectiveness of this charismatic man. So I love his policies. He stood for our godly constitutional principles. That's very important. And so, but he was shaking up the apple cart and the money flow for those inside the Beltway. He was shaking that up. And that's why people came back and pushed back against him. So what I see for the future, whoa, that's a good question. In terms of the presidential race, the President Donald Trump threw his hat in, and so Pence did as well. I'm waiting to see what will I can't think of his name. The governor of Florida.
Oh, DeSantis.
DeSantis.
Yep.
DeSantis. I'm waiting to see what DeSantis is going to do. So,
do you think he will, or he's going to stay clear and bide his time for 2028, perhaps? That do you think
You
he's
know,
kind of a
my, my,
loyalist,
my,
and
my personal feeling is I think he'll do it.
you think he'll put it in?
I think so.
Now, I don't see
Maybe that's
Pence. Right. Go ahead.
maybe that's wishful thinking on my part mostly, but yeah, we need a presidential candidate that's a uniter. That's not divisive. Um, and sometimes the president, because he's on Twitter a lot, sometimes he's portrayed by the left as being divisive. Well, we need somebody in office who can overcome that and be more of a uniter. Is my concern, and we'll see.
Right. Now, this Pence thing, I don't think he has a hope in Hades.
I don't either. I don't think. With maybe the more of rhino Republicans, yes, but for mainstream Republicans, I
I
I
don't
don't see
like
it
him.
happening.
I find
Yeah,
him
I don't
so
see it happening.
crooked. Like, what do you
Yeah,
think? He could have done something very courageous when Mr. Trump had asked him to
right,
indeed call for some scrutiny over the previous election, just some
right,
scrutiny,
exactly
give it
right.
a pullback. And
Well,
he did not help at all.
well, you hit the nail on the head right there. And with him, my personal preference is I trust him as probably as far I can pick him up and throw him. That's about it.
Yes, sir. I am 100% on your side about that. Kcarl, what are you seeing in the future for Americans for this diversity? We've been really divided. It feels like this critical race theory and all of that. I'll tell you, I love my African American brothers and sisters, probably because I was born in Uganda and I thought I was black for the first 8 years of my life. But I find myself really, really, I love the opportunities and the diversity that we have in North America. That's Canada as well. And I don't see the racism that people are portraying.
Yeah. I think what has to happen to improve the situation in our country in terms of race relations, we've come a long way. We're not at a level of utopia yet, but we have come a long way. There's been a lot of improvement, but of course we got to remain vigilant. I think what has to happen next is not an issue of race; it's really classism. We have the elitists in both parties are out now trying to enslave all of us who are not elitists, and so that's the fight. And so we got to make sure race is not really the main issue. It's really elitism and classism that's separating and dividing us. That's where the real fight is.
Okay, well, the one thing that I'm hoping is that more people, more folks like my friend Franklin that I met this last week, that more folks like that are going to begin looking at guys like you, looking at. I love the Hodge twins. I love these people that are leading the way into us embracing each other and laughing
Yeah,
and defeating the lies of what our young people are being propagandized into.
I agree, and I think every one of us who are liberty advocates, we must learn how to become better messengers of liberty, and we must learn how to be effective in communicating a language of liberty that has a universal appeal. Because I think the fight is with young people that we got to become better messengers of liberty where we can awaken and educate young people about the value of liberty. We got to get a hold of these Marxist indoctrinated individuals out here, um, because I think socialism and Marxism is a great thing. We got to turn that around. So we got to become better. In other words, I got to become better at talking to my grandchild, my children, my relatives, my friends about the value of liberty because they have been indoctrinated into socialism, into Marxism. That's where the fight is.
What kind of price have you paid personally, sir, for standing up and speaking the way you do, sort of going against the grain?
Back when I used to call myself and identify myself as a conservative, I lost a lot. I lost relationships. I was engaged to be married, and when my young lady, when her parents found out that I was a conservative, Republican, they threatened to take her out of the will. So that was back when I was calling myself a conservative. But now, in lieu of saying conservative, I identify myself as a Frederick Douglass Republican. Now things are different because people want to know, what are you talking about? And that's when I can seize control of the narrative and inspire them to vote their values, and they have become Frederick Douglass Republicans as well, and have had an eye opening, an awakening by the liberty message of Douglass.
Yes, I remember you speaking about this the last time, and just hearing those words, "I vote my values." Before I let you go, I don't understand how Christians can vote for Democrats who are authorizing abortion up till birth, and in some states, past birth. Like, who?
Yeah,
These are not people you can ever vote for if you think there's a God.
yeah. My thought is that, in particular in the Black community, abortion is not the number one issue or concern. It's racism. So in the Black community, we have a tendency, we will vote for a devout socialist before we vote for someone who we think is a racist and espousing and talking about the evilness of abortion. I don't agree with that, but that's what we're doing in many cases. And you're exactly right. And here's the thing, Laura, that when you look at the other side, I just make it simple as this. Anyone that embraces infanticide will do anything and has a reprobate mind. They can't see it. God has taken their sense of conscience away, and they'll do anything. If they support that, they'll support anything. And of course, they won't get my vote.
100%, sir. I just value you. You are making such a difference in the world, in the nation. How does it feel to be a nation-changing individual?
I don't see myself that way. I'm just doing what God has called me to do. I just made myself available to Him, and He's taking it from there. And so
I love it.
I don't even think of it that way.
Right. Well, I'm gonna get my new friend in the States to watch this interview and to get following you. And we have been putting your website up so people can follow you there. And I just thank you, sir, for your courage. Thanks for taking time to speak with us today.
Hey, thank you for inviting me back. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome. God bless. Take care.
God bless. Bye.
All right. Well, coming up, we have got Dr. Byram Bridle. He is a Canadian hero, and we know the price he's paid. Just before that, we're going to go to a brief clip to set him up, and then we might have to let go. It's a web page. Oh, so I've got to read it then. We might have to let go of you there, you at YouTube. But let's take a look at this. This is fascinating, and maybe we can see what Dr. Bridle thinks about this. But inhaled Canadian COVID-19 vaccine to enter phase 2 human trials. So this is absolutely, I think it's kind of frightening. A new made in Canada COVID-19 vaccine that can be inhaled is set to enter phase 2. The vaccine is being developed at McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario. There is a pressing need, really, to develop new, more effective next generation vaccine strategy. More effective. Were they not safe and effective? What's the problem? Why does it have to be new? Inhaled? What does that mean? Like, so my question is, am I walking down a hallway and somebody's just spritzed the air with an inhaled vaccine and I'm just getting it because I'm in the vicinity? I had a very unfortunate, time on the plane where they were just spraying and spraying all the aisles. And that was annoying. And I thought, well, what kind of horrible things are getting into me from this spray that was so toxic and just literally made my asthma act up? What does it mean to have something that you can spray in the air and it overtakes us? So I'm just going to ask JT. Let's bring on Dr. Byram Bridle. Let me read his first. Let me just Hello, sir. Welcome to the show. I want to tell everyone just a little bit about you. You are an associate professor of viral immunology who specializes in the development, optimization, and safety testing of vaccines. You teach or have taught immunology. I'm going to find out where you're at right now because I know that you've had to face a whole series of things, virology and cancer biology at the undergraduate and graduate levels. You have received multiple prestigious awards for his teaching and has published extensively in the peer-reviewed scientific literature. Dr. Bridle has also received multiple citations as a top-tier reviewer for Canada's National Medical Research Granting Agency. He was the first to warn the public that mRNA vaccines could distribute throughout the body, and now we're finding that to be true, thereby promoting harm by multiple mechanisms of action. Dr. Bridle, welcome to the show. I think we're going to have to make a decision now and ask all of our YouTube people. If you want to know the truth, we're going to ask you to head on over to Rumble right now. It is in the description underneath where you're watching. It's in the chat. It's there. Otherwise, go to rumble.com, Google my name, and we just want to be respectful of YouTube because they have certain parameters. So we're going to continue to talk about the truth with Dr. Byram Bridle. Dr.